Ayo, welcome to another video. And if you're new here, then welcome. Before I get into what this video is about, I would like to say thank you to whoever watched my last video on Vaporwave. I know a lot of people couldn't really understand what I was saying for the most part, as the vocals and music wasn't mixed well. I thought it was, but others didn't think that so. But thanks to all who had criticism. On another note, this wasn't supposed to be the video I wanted to make after that, but with the video I wanted to make originally, I felt like it was a good idea for me to dive more into the music surrounding that topic before continuing with the script. So I will be trying to post other videos in the meantime. Now, for today's video, I asked my friend and fellow YouTuber Fezicus if he could give me an album that I can review. And the album he gave me is Dome 1 by Dome. Now, I know this is my video and all, but before I start talking about the album, I'm gonna put the spotlight on Fez so he can say who Dome is and what he thinks about both the band and the album we're talking about today. Here you go, Fez.
So, Dome. They're that one experimental rock industrial band formed in 1980 by Bruce Gilbert and Graham Lewis, both of which coming from Wire after the band broke up due to creative differences. And personally, they're probably one of the more underappreciated bands I've ever heard of. And Dome 1 is such an amazing album. Now, Dome 1 has a huge landscape of sounds and musical styles that it just likes to throw right out there. But there's tracks like Cancel Your Order, which almost sounds like No Wave, but then right after there's an almost ambient track with Cruel When Complete, and then after that, there's And Then, that sounds like a Hanada Ash 2 track if it was slowed down, had no distortion, and maybe was a little bit quieter with a very menacing bass seeping in afterwards. With this also being a very early industrial album, there's going to be a lot of people banging random shit to see what they can make out of them, alongside lots of unique synth sounds, and lots of just straight weird shit. Like the second to last track, Amp Noise, is literally just 4 minutes of feedback with extra drones added throughout. But it works so well alongside the rest of the album. There's also Madmen, which is a track with metal percussion and drones being set alongside some almost drunkenly bluesy guitar and vocals. And it's fucking awesome! There's also the classic, Rolling Upon My Day, having one fuzzy bass note being repeated throughout the entire song that gets layered on top of, with a tinny synth on top of that, until it just changes into an almost poppy post-punk song. The album is very, you love it or you hate it. I've seen some people love it, I've seen some people hate it. And if you're expecting something like Wire, I wouldn't entirely say you're sorely mistaken, especially with some of this album being similar to the stuff you would hear on 154. There are some parts of the album that might not be at all that appealing to people who like albums like Pink Flag or Chairs Missing. Some of my favorite tracks throughout the album, however, are the previously mentioned Cancel Your Order, Rolling Upon My Day, and Madmen. But I'd also like to shout out some tracks like Say Again, which is probably the most accessible track on here, alongside Here We Go. If you're a fan of Throbbing Gristle and Carabé Voltaire, some shit, I don't know, and maybe even No Way Vera Swans, you might like this album a lot, and I highly urge all of you to give it a shot. And while I've only gone into the details of Dome 1, I highly recommend you listen to Dome 2, 3, and Will You Speak This Word, and as well The Shivering Man by Bruce Gilbert and 3R4 by Gilbert and Lewis. All truly amazing albums. But Dome 1, however, I still think is their magnum opus. Now that I've said what I've needed to say, hopefully, I hope this wasn't too long, and now I can return the spotlight to Sammy.
Now, unlike Fez, I did not enjoy this album as much as he did. I would like to start by saying that I think it's a very interesting album, especially for the early industrial scene, having some ideas that would still be used in more recent industrial albums such as Lingua Ignota's All Bitches Die and Caligula, mainly the ambient element. When it comes to industrial, I am not at all big on the genre, only having listened to a handful of albums like stuff from No Wave era Swans like Filth and Cock, as well as listening to the Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails. But more popular old bands from this genre like Throbbing Gristle and Coil, I have no experience with whatsoever. I do know from skimming through Horse Rotovator that Coil definitely takes a more sensual and probably uncomfortable approach to the genre, while Throbbing Gristle, on the other hand, is as weird as Coil, but more minimal, or at least from when I skimmed through 20 jazz funk greats. Dome's album is patient at points while also being minimal and without a doubt strange, having a mixture of toned down punk rock instrumentals and experimental ambient with indecipherable lyrics sung or spoken. I feel like there's definitely a bit of variety in its sound, but not too much where the flow of the album seems off despite its switch ups from rock to ambient. The vocal performances from Bruce are both somewhat similar but very different compared to his work on Wire, or in this case, Pink Flag, but having more indecipherable lyrics. Despite all the interesting ideas that's been put into this album, it doesn't feel engaging to me. Nothing really kept my attention for long. I get that this was an early industrial album, but I thought there would be more abrasion to it. But instead, I was met with what seemed to be proto swans. Toned down and slowed down songs with occasional ambient cuts coming in. Nothing hard hitting like what Swans would put out in the 80s, but still having some ideas that I think would have been executed better if other bands used them. Rolling Upon My Day has to be one of the most accessible tracks as it has a riff that you would hear in a punk song, only for it to not have some sort of build up or any change, which then transitions to a more calmer lo-fi instrumental with the vocalist singing. Whirlwind Complete is the only track to have a female vocalist on, with the only, I guess, prettier produced tracks, with a very slow but somewhat playful and friendly rhythm ambient track, but still having the eeriness of some of the other ambient cuts on here. Madman uses vocal effects while playing this off-kilter guitar rhythm. Same for the tracks Say Again and the minus the vocal effects. Amp noise is 4 minutes of feedback that sounds like you're outside in heavy wind with some mechanical sound coming in and out. And the opening track, Cancel Your Order, does a good job at grabbing my attention with loud and exaggerated vocals, while also having some weird and wobbly electronics and a heavy guitar riff. All in all, I think the album definitely has some redeemable stuff, but isn't something I would come back to even if I think there's a lot of interesting ideas that's been executed on this album. It's cohesive, weird, and has personality, and I respect it for obviously pushing boundaries, but I didn't see myself liking it a lot at the end of the day.
Epilogue.
Thank you for watching once again. Again, it's a scripted video, just like the last one. But again, I'm not good at talking, especially when it comes to scripted videos. So, well, it's not like I'm good at talking, like period. So, um, one big thank you and shout out to Fezikis. He's a great dude. Like I found him on Discord. Well, no, I didn't find him through Discord. I found him on YouTube, and he had a Discord server. Me and him talked, all that stuff. I was on a podcast episode with him and Thomas. Uh, he's a great like friend. That's all I can say. Uh, yeah, I love you, Doug. As for what I want to post later or like soon, hopefully, of course, the video. I'm not. You know what? I'm not even gonna try and keep it a secret anymore or whatever. I guess. I want to make a video on black experimental musicians or artists, really, and it's not really strictly in like one specific genre, but just kind of like all around, really. Because of course, why not, right? There's black experimental musicians like everywhere, and I being the light skin dude, I guess. I don't know where I'm trying to go with that, but I actually really want to make this a video because I feel like they're not really talked about enough, or at least I don't know, kind of like looking at the I don't know what to say. I'm gonna be quiet. I think I'm gonna probably just like type it up or something. However, this again this video I was thinking of reviewing two albums for this video, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna stick to the one. I was gonna review another, not another. I was gonna review a Vaporwave album, specifically, a Vectroid album, yeah, Sapporo Contemporary, Joho Desk Virtual. Um, but that didn't happen. But hopefully soon I will actually make reviews on vaporwave albums and just make vaporwave content, like, period, because this channel is gonna have a lot of vaporwave stuff. I hope I'm gonna be on my patent little what Pat Chennington type shit. I'm so sorry. No, I'm not. But still, I hope I could make a like a solo video without having, not that I don't want people to be on the channel, of course I do, right? But I'm definitely gonna have to have at least one video where I'm just like doing everything. Well, have me myself. I'm not editing this actually. I'm just gonna let it fly, right? But it's just like me, myself, and I in one video, and have no one else kind of like talking or helping me. All just me really. However, for people who actually, I want, or like I'm gonna like try and collab on the channel. Thomas, again, I mentioned for he was on the podcast. Well, he is like one of the people on the podcast, right? Uh, I'm gonna have a video planned with him. Me and him are already kind of like discussing that. So, um, but yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Um, I guess if you like the album and kind of like, I don't know, just if you heard the album, let me know what you think and all that. So again, shout out Fezkis. If you have not watched any of his content, I highly recommend you to do so. Links will be in the description for sure. But yeah, that's it. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all later. See ya.